Welcome to Party Girl Interrupted. This is the podcast where we talk about identity, reinvention, healing, and what it looks like when the life that you've built no longer fits. I'm your host, Kathy Wong. Today's guest is Joey Bachrach. He is the co-founder of Rainbow Hill Recovery. Through his own personal journey, Joey has dedicated his life to helping others feel seen, supported, heal, and rediscover a deeper sense of community. So today we're going to be talking about identity, healing, purpose, recovery, and the power of community. Hi, Joey.
Hello.
Welcome to Party Girl Interrupted.
Thank you. I'm truly honored and humbled to be here. So thank you for asking.
Yeah. So for those who are not familiar with Rainbow Hill, can we talk a little bit about that, your mission and your vision around that?
Yeah. Well, we have to, if we could have a time machine,
Yeah.
we would have to jump back to 2021. And I know that there's so many things to cover in terms of like what Rainbow Hill is, why we do what we do.
Yeah.
But we started in 2021 with our sober living, Rainbow Hill Sober Living, which was at the time an LGBT men's sober living. And the reason why we opened was because there was a gap in care, essentially, for queer men who were looking for an affirming space to call home and recover.
Yeah.
And fast forward to 2023, we opened our treatment center, which is also exclusively queer, which we're super excited about. And now we're a blended family. So it's not just queer men that we are helping.
Okay.
It's all encompassing, and anyone who identifies as part of the rainbow, we'd be a good fit for.
Yeah. And so I see that you guys have kind of put together pieces of puzzle with the sober living, the treatment, and then the foundation. Was that always the case, or is that something that came along?
It was always the bigger picture.
Right.
And it's crazy how quickly 5 years has just flown by.
Yeah.
But we started with the house, and then we started doing treatment because there was also a gap in treatment for members of our community. And then with the foundation, that launched in August of last year, so 2025.
Very recent.
And there's unfortunately a lot of people who are queer don't necessarily have the best resources, or they've been cut off financially from their families, and treatment is expensive. So we wanted to create a foundation that is tax deductible. So people who are not, in recovery, or if they have somebody who is, they can donate, and we will be able to provide scholarships for treatment, for sober living expenses, for gender affirming care, for food insecurity. And it's all because, essentially it's because the house that we opened 5 years ago, but the reputation helped us get us to where we are today.
Beautiful. So let's talk about you a little bit. Let's pivot into you. I want to hear about who you were before Rainbow Hill. Let's touch on that.
Well,
broad question.
What do you want to know about me? Yeah, so I'm an LA native. I grew up in Mar Vista. I wear that with pride. For the longest time, I used to say I was from Venice Beach because no one really knew what Mar Vista was. Yeah. But yes, I'm an LA native. I'm adopted from birth. My childhood was great overall. I think we all have our issues growing up. My story's not unique. I think where my addiction really started was when I was 17. My father passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease, and he and I had a really close bond. He was my number one cheerleader. I was a competitive swimmer. I did Junior Olympics. I was in the whole acting and modeling scene from age 13 to like my early 20s.
You mentioned
Nickelodeon. It was like teeny bopper stuff. But I was introduced into to drugs and partying, and it wasn't really an issue, I thought, at the time, until my father passed away. And then let's just say I enjoyed myself a little too much with substances. And also putting myself into questionable situations with significantly older men that I've been very vocal about with clients, and a lot of therapy.
Right.
But, I wasn't happy with where my life was, and I used alcohol and drugs to kind of numb it.
Yeah.
Until it got so bad that my friends, who are also in deep addiction, kind of told me that you're a little bit too much to be around. That's when you know you have a problem. It's when your friends are kind of like, oh, we gotta take a step back from you. No, but it was New Year's of 2025 that I had enough. My first go around, and I entered the rooms of AA, and I was sober for a year and 3 months.
Right.
And I did the meetings. I did 12-step every single day. And I'm not here to badmouth AA or anything like that. It's not for everyone. It's not currently for me. And I have close to 9 years without AA, but a really good therapist.
That's so important.
Therapy is very important. So yeah, it was, what would you like to know? There's so much.
Yeah. So, every guest has had an interruption, or many interruptions, or an aha moment, or come to Jesus. And I think in just touching on what you said, your father and the loss of your father was kind of maybe the catalyst, or your first interruption.
And I think it's funny that you say catalyst, because I've actually said that quite a few times. I think when it comes to addiction, and I'm not a clinician, so don't quote me on this. I do think it's a mixture of hereditary and circumstance, and I think biologically I was always going to be an alcoholic, and I found that out much later out in life when I met my biological mother, who's also an alcoholic, not in recovery. So there's that, and then the catalyst event was the passing of my father,
Right.
and that's where it all like really got bad for a very long.
What was the aha moment maybe around alcohol where you had to be like, something needs to change?
Not wanting to die.
Okay, I think you had said that. You had said like you should have been dead.
I should have been dead a long time
wow.
ago. I didn't want to die from at least not being taken out that way. I mean, that would be an awful way to go. I'm grateful. Sure, I've had, attempts on my life, but that wasn't really so much during my addiction. It was more so prior to.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I'm a fighter. I didn't want to go out.
I think that just you sitting here with you and hearing your vulnerability, I want to open up myself. And how do you see that showing up with clients for you? Like this vulnerability, it's so courageous.
It's been a beautiful experience to be able to talk to our clients about past experiences that I've had. When we spoke on the phone, when you and I spoke on the phone, I shared, I've been a victim of sexual assault quite a few times, and it's not something that I take lightly, and I wouldn't change anything about my past because I'm able to relate to our clients on a personal level where I'm saying like, I actually know exactly what you're going through. And it's not like someone trying to say, oh yeah, I know what you're going through. And no, you don't. It's like, no, I genuinely understand. There was a period in time where I didn't want to be touched for a year, even by people that I loved. That included like my mother, my fiance at the time, hugging me. Like I just didn't want to be touched. So I get it. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing to now be able to relate to clients in that way.
Yeah. So I want to touch on that. So it's such a unique kind of, I guess, maybe trauma or side effect of trauma. How did you move past that? Such specific, like not wanting physical touch, something that's so, innately human.
Well, that was because of a really good therapist. It took a lot of work.
Yeah.
It took a lot of work because I'm somebody who expresses myself in different ways. And I've been prone to like reverting to going inside and not expressing outwardly. And so when people think that something's wrong, nothing could actually be wrong at that same time. Right. So I could, be dealing without it. And so with therapy, I've been able to express what's going on in my noggin.
Right.
And that's not, for me at least, it wasn't a way to live, not being able to touch. I mean, that's one of the most intimate things that you can do with somebody is touch. So.
And then you mentioned fiance, now husband.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but you guys are in this partnership together. You started this journey.
We are, and
how that affects, everything that you're building together.
Yeah. So one special shout out to my amazing husband, Andrew Fox. We actually don't know anything different in terms of not working with one another because we, in our lives prior to Rainbow Hill, we were real estate agents and we worked on flips together. We did all of it together. So we've always worked together.
Oh, okay.
Haven't killed each other yet, so that's a win. But it's nice being able to be in a room without saying anything and know exactly what the other person's going through or thinking. It is hard to turn off though sometimes, like when we need time to reset and recharge, our minds are always going like work. So trying to find that healthy life balance in terms of work, business, pleasure. Yeah. And I'm still a work in progress, and I've been saying that for 5 years, but here we go.
How has the partnership, I guess, shaped Rainbow Hill differently than like other maybe communities or centers?
I think honestly, it's our hearts. You can copy and paste everything that we do, but I think deep down, the special ingredients are myself and my husband. Our clients will say it. Our clinicians who work with us will say it. Our team, like everyone, it's us essentially. And I think what separates us from other programs and individuals is that we always give credit where credit's due. Right. So we give credit to our entire team, our clients, their families, and we're just two people at the end of the day. But I think it's because we genuinely care. Yeah. So.
Funny enough, you talk about affirming care instead of just being LGBTQ friendly. So what is the difference?
Oh my gosh, that is like one of my biggest pet peeves in terms of, when we started in 21, it was gay friendly was the lingo. Now it's, queer affirming, which is a lot better than gay friendly. Yeah. Because it's all encompassing. It's more so about understanding what an individual's going through. Do you have people on your team who have lived experiences? Having a queer flag or an LGBT flag on your website doesn't qualify you as a LGBT affirming place to get treatment or seek help. Yeah. just, do your homework. And if you don't know, ask questions and learn.
Right. Like be an always learning ally, I think, versus
Mhm.
just waving the flag. Where does the name come from? Maybe it's a little obvious, but Rainbow
Rainbow
Hill.
Hill? Okay. Well, when we were coming up with the idea, we wanted something that, like I shared earlier, it was our intention was to be a gay men's sober living.
Right.
And so we were like, okay, whatever, rainbow. Like, let's, make it gay, but like not too gay. Sorry, make it gay, but not too gay. And then because the house is quite literally on a hill,
Where's the location of
it's
your
in
house?
Echo Park.
Okay.
And so it's like the hill's like at a 45-degree incline, so it's
Yeah.
pretty steep.
Can we talk about the house a little bit? I guess I'm curious of the specifics, like how many rooms, what does the day-to-day look like schedule-wise?
Yeah, so the house is a 5-bedroom in Echo Park, and we also have a guest house in the back. So there are 4 rooms that are for clients in the guest house. Our capacity is about 12, so it really depends on our census.
Mhm.
And we have some rooms that are double, some rooms that are triple, depending on the milieu at the time.
Mm.
And people are like, "Oh, do you have bunk beds?" We're like, well, yeah, but think about it as like queer summer camp.
Oh,
So it's been working for years.
yeah.
And the day-to-day is, it's different for each client. We have clients who are in a treatment center, whether that's ours or someone else's, and it's day programs. So they're there for, a majority of the day from 9 to 3. Some of them start at noon and end at 4. Like, and
Okay.
they don't always have to go to ours. They can
Yeah.
go to a different one. We have clients who are working part-time, clients who are working full-time, some who are in school, and then some who volunteer. So it's every schedule is different. Our clients do get drug tested 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
So we have rules.
Yeah,
It's
of
not a
course.
free for all.
Yeah, not fully camp.
Yeah, no, we have curfew.
Okay.
And it's like a cute little family and a family unit, and it's really nice. And it's also bittersweet because when they do move out, they tend to move out together
Yeah.
because we encourage that. And
You really built a community kind of when loneliness seems to be this like defining factor in our
Mhm.
time. So, can we talk a little bit about addiction? Because I wanted to kind of tie the
Yeah.
concept of loneliness to addiction. And do you believe that loneliness is now fueling addiction in our time?
Well, again, I'm not a clinician.
Right.
Personal
Yeah.
experience, I do believe that, loneliness fuels it for
Mhm.
sure. I know that I did a lot more damage when I was alone than I
Mhm.
was with
Mhm.
friends, and I did a lot of damage when I was with friends. But then you're left to your own thoughts, and it does come back, it comes back to touch and community, and you don't have to physically have to touch somebody
Mhm.
to, feel close. But if you're isolated,
Oh, it's
it could be a very dangerous place.
yeah.
And if you want to quiet down the noise, substances are
Easy.
possible, then, put 2 and 2 together. It's a
Mhm.
cocktail for disaster.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if I shared this with you on our call that I have bipolar disorder, and I
Mhm.
talk about it quite a bit because it was one of my main interruptions. Kind of, my tagline is "Party to Purpose," and
Mhm.
maybe you can resonate with that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let me talk about a little bit about community. So we talked about the importance of community. Do you think people can heal without community?
Well, I
Let's talk about
think, if you're able to do that, you are a rare breed of human.
right? Like I think like there's so much self-healing talk right now. And then at the
Uh-huh.
same time though, like, okay, I can do the work and maybe I have the therapy speak, but
Mhm.
like how am I actually going to integrate any of this?
Exactly, which is I think so as I touched base earlier, we're not a 12-step program, and
Mm-hmm.
we're not a 12-step sober living.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, it's about community. I mean, that's what meetings are. You
Mm-hmm.
go and you relate with other people
Mm-hmm.
who have lived experiences, and you're talking about it,
Exactly.
and you read out of the 12 book,
Yeah.
the 12-step book, the
Yeah.
big book. If you're not finding community there, where are you finding it?
Right.
With sobriety specifically, there's an amazing organization called the Phoenix, which is a 501c3 nonprofit that's also it's sobriety, and they have
Okay.
activities. They have kickboxing,
Oh,
bowling,
wow.
ceramics, which I have
Yeah.
still yet to try. I really want to do that.
Yeah.
But you're meeting other people who are sober. So it's, community is a huge part of why I think I'm doing what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
Although my community is very small, I have my friends, and that's my tight knit
Yeah.
community.
It's
if that
your
makes
third space. You're familiar with that term?
I have never heard that before, so you'll have to enlighten me.
Okay, so basically, most people have their home and
Mhm.
then their work and then their third space, which is exactly what you guys have
Mhm.
actually as a community where you can go to heal and thrive and actually just really be in purpose. And like
Mhm.
that's obviously, you see the book, it's from party to
Mhm.
purpose. So let's talk a little bit about your purpose. When you have that mission statement, what is your purpose? What are you here on earth to do?
Gosh, it's always such a tough question to answer. To be there for people. selfishly to be someone like myself who I didn't have access to when I was younger. I advocating for the people who aren't getting the care that they need, providing resources.
Let's talk a little bit about addiction. If we're, how does shame, I think, plays a big part of why people fail to connect or seek out community. How does shame and vulnerability show up during recovery?
Wow. Shame is poisonous.
Right.
And I'm speaking from my own personal experience. I remember vividly, like when I would have spurts of sobriety, and I don't really consider them sobriety because I wasn't really ready to get sober, but I'd go like a week or two at a time, and then I go like a month or two at a time.
Yeah.
And then when I would start drinking and using again, it was like this bottomless pit of doom. And it was just shame. Like I just felt like everything, like the whole world was just staring at me. My world was like, I felt like I was suffocating. It is a very dark place, shame. And it took me a while to realize that I could still use that same energy and shift it to something positive.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of work.
Right.
A lot of work.
So what gave you the courage to be vulnerable? And I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast where vulnerability to me is courage. And so what got you there?
It's actually quite funny. I mean, my therapist's voice is in my head.
You got a really good therapist.
I do. she would say, "You're not that big of a deal."
Oh.
And I was like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah.
It's
how did that sit in your body?
It's sad because, like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? Somebody doesn't like what I'm saying.
Yep.
Fine, they can scroll past.
Yeah.
But if somebody who's in the middle of the country struggling with exactly what I was struggling with is a gay male, like, that could be me in the future. Like, it's not about me at the end of the day. It's about what I can do to help.
Yeah. I see that you guys have really, you and your partner have really filled the gap there of it not just being come and take the medicine and then go off and then kind of this, like whether it's toxic or just what it is. I don't think drugs are bad. I think it's the circumstance. It's every drug has its purpose, right? Maybe not cocaine, but I think that this is a hot take that I have recently. I've come to that, like how we look at addiction and recovery and everything. When you make it up through the lens of like drugs are bad, don't do drugs versus just education. Are you guys doing that?
We are. So we call it harm reduction.
Okay.
For someone like me, so somebody who is in recovery, I cannot, play around with drugs or drink. For me personally, I mean, like I said, I had over a year of sobriety and I tried that and I nearly burnt everything down to the ground in a matter of months. But for people who are not in recovery, I'm not saying that drugs are bad or terrible. It's just for me personally.
That's just my hot take.
Yeah. No, I can't, I can't speak to everyone. I can only speak to myself. And also drugs are a lot more different than they were when I was using cocaine. Yeah, sure. I loved a good sledding session. Like I loved cocaine.
Yeah.
But I'd be afraid to do it today because it's mixed with fentanyl and it literally takes like a grain of salt and that can kill you. A lot of people
don't know that. Yeah. I think I watched a thing on that they don't call it overdose. They call it poisoning, fentanyl poisoning.
See?
You learned a new thing today?
I did.
I just learned a new thing too. So do we talk about the different parts of Rainbow Hill? We talked about the sober living, the treatment center, and the foundation, right? Where do you see Rainbow Hill and other communities, 10 years down the road? What's the future vision?
The future vision would be to have Rainbow Hills and communities and states and cities where, being queer is looked care. Many of our clients are from out of state.
Oh, wow.
And so, maybe providing services to those states so they don't have to travel so far.
I mean, I think that, we're metropolitan cities. I'm from New York and pretty liberal states. It makes me think of like that person in the Midwest who maybe is like, I don't know, part of the opioid epidemic and maybe struggling with any type of identity, I guess would be, whether it's queer or straight, and that you've created those houses. I would love to also see a Rainbow Hill everywhere. It also sounds like, and maybe this is just a take from how you share it because you're so passionate, it sounds like it's fun.
I love what I do. I always, and I say this in interviews, like I didn't wake up one day when I was 13 saying, oh, I want to open up a treatment center or a sober living. It's something that I wouldn't change for the world. I love what I do. It's exhausting, but I wouldn't change it for anything. I genuinely love everything about what I do.
Yeah, and you get to do it with someone you love.
I do.
If I was to ask you like for a moment during this entire journey of like building and community with Rainbow Hill, is there like a moment that you'd like to share, like something that you'll never forget? I'm sure you have several. Something like along the line that elicits, a lot of emotion.
There are quite a few that have stuck with me. One of the first, it was when we first opened. This client was our first one ever. And my husband and I, we were on vacation. This was before we officially opened the Sober Living. And he called, and we didn't even have a website up at the time. We had like a Facebook page. And we got a call saying, "Hey, I'm on my way from Texas and I'd like to move into your Sober Living." Andrew and I had no idea what to say because we thought, okay, we're going to open up a house. It's going to be, full of alcoholics and maybe cocaine. Nope. It was meth. And we're like, we don't know much about that.
Yeah.
But we were very quick to learn. And this client just celebrated 5 years of sobriety. He's in a loving relationship, has a good job. Like we get to be part of that.
Wow.
And so we call him patient zero, but we call him our firstborn.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's even just the term.
Yeah, he's great. He's amazing, and
awesome.
We're very proud of him.
Yeah. Like the way you hold the space and like this, you think of them as your child versus like a client.
Our sober children.
Yes.
Some of them are knuckleheads and we adore them. And it's usually the ones that are the most difficult at the time. And I only say difficult only because they were a little harder to get through to in terms of like, listen, like we're actually here for you.
Right.
Like the second shoe's not going to drop.
Wow.
And it takes time for people to fully trust you. Another client just celebrated 4 years of sobriety, and it's been really nice to be a part of that journey as well. So yeah, and then like a pinch me moment would be when we opened our treatment center in 23. Like, is this actually happening?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Those are moments that I'll forever be grateful to.
What is your definition of success? How has that changed now that you're just in a space for just healing and that's become your sole purpose?
I think success comes from reputation on its by itself.
Yeah.
I think one of our biggest strengths is that Andrew and I are the same people we were when we started in 2021. This business can change people. We've seen it change people who are no longer in our orbit, but it's tough and it's hard. So I think success, staying true to who you are, what your mission is, and not going to the dark side.
Okay. Now I'm curious about that.
Well, I'm an open book.
What is missing in the space? What are some gaps that you guys have done a great job of filling, but maybe other places and communities
there need to be? Yeah, the gap is that there need to be more programs that are genuinely doing it for the right reasons. It's disheartening and sickening that people in this field talk about people who are in recovery and the way that they speak of them in terms of, they look at them as policy numbers or policies from whatever insurance company as opposed to the person behind that insurance policy. A perfect example is our clinical outreach specialist, Rory, special shout out. You've made my life so much easier. His job is to also have relationships with other programs. And the program told him, I will give you 1 United for every 2 Cigna you give me. And these are people that we are talking about. And it's we're obviously not working with that program.
Right.
But that's just one of many conversations that we've had with people that we thought were, decent.
Well, so thank you for being the pioneer in the space. I love that you said that it's your heart's the driving forward and the people obviously resonate with. I want to go back to therapy because I love that you're such a big component of therapy. I'm doing EMDR right now. You're familiar?
I'm very familiar. I tried it once and unfortunately it didn't work for me. That's what my therapist recommended because of all the sexual assaults and all of that. But so talk therapy worked for me for that.
That's amazing. And you're still in therapy currently?
I use it for tune-ups. So
I think that's how it should be. We're not.
I'm not going.
Like if when you leave your therapist, you should be like, great.
Yes.
I've done my part. But EMDR therapy, obviously, if you know, for me with my bipolar, is there's all these memories and obviously traumas, big T's, little T's, that for me and for everybody, when you think about and haven't processed, it's like my body thinks it's happening right now. Like, I don't, like some type of like domestic abuse, like be like, oh my God, I'm being assaulted right now. And EMDR has helped me really dial up, the trauma, the emotion of it, and then bring it back down. So now I can talk about it and it's no longer like, oh my God, it's happening. It's like, I can talk about it as a memory. I'm like talking about it to everybody I know. I think that's so important. So what are the mental health resources that you guys either facilitate or that you've seen have been really successful?
Yeah, so we're trauma informed. We offered EMDR, but the only issue with that is it's long term. And so our clients are usually with us for only 3-4 months at a time. And EMDR is it's a long process. So we get them connected with therapists who specialize in that if that's something that they would like to explore, either while they're in our care or after. We do CBT, DBT. We also, our clients all see a therapist once or twice a week, depending on what their needs are. And so just, meeting them where they're at.
Yeah. And that actually speaks to how important it is to be heard and seen. If like, that's just something that's so important when it comes to treatment and recovery is like, do you see me? Like, can you hold the space for me? And again, you and your husband and the people on your team are coming from that lived experience, right? Oh, I wanted to do a little rapid fire question round if you're ready.
Okay.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl.
What is a hill that you will die on?
Pokemon was the best creation ever.
God, I love anime. Do you love anime or just Pokemon?
Pokemon and then some anime, but Pokemon all the way.
Really? Cards and everything, Pokemon Go?
Cards, Pokemon Go. They just celebrated their, 15-year anniversary?
Yeah.
10-year anniversary?
Well, then who's your favorite Pokemon?
Vaporeon, hands down.
Ooh, okay. Wait, Vaporeon is water?
Water.
I am Charizard.
Okay.
So fire and water. When do you feel most yourself?
When I'm home.
Yeah.
In my PJ.
Is home with your partner?
Home with my
where
husband,
the heart is?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Birthday cake ice cream.
Really cute. What is a belief that you've changed your mind about?
Chocolate's not that bad.
Ooh, okay. Were you like die hard like this?
I was die hard. I don't like chocolate. I'll never eat it.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge fan of milk chocolate and caramel.
Nice. What's one book that everybody should read?
Harry Potter.
I love Harry Potter. I have all of them. I love. We're like geeking out.
I may not agree with J.K. Rowling, but
yeah, well,
Harry Potter was a good series to read.
And then just finish the sentence for yourself. Healing is
peace.
Oh, all right. Rapid
fire.
Thank you. Yeah, of course. So I just wanted to. Do you have any questions for myself? Is there anything that you wanted to share or talk about?
I would love to know what inspired you to write your book and why.
So I have always been a storyteller. Yeah, did we share origins on the call?
No, because I wanted you to save it for today.
Great. Amazing. So born and raised New Yorker to a Chinese. Wait, what did you say you were again?
I am El Salvadorian, Portuguese, and Spanish.
Feisty Latins we are, but half Chinese, half Colombian, born and raised like inner city kid, Chinatown. And I say Chinatown because I'm from an area that like doesn't exist anymore. Two Bridges is now just Chinatown. Anyway, so born and raised, I spent my 20s working in nightlife. So it is like the entirety of my 20s was me being in clubs, around celebrities and athletes and just very, very surreal. And around that time, I wanted to write a tell-all because it was just like the stuff I'd seen, like stories. And then through the progression of 10 years, I say from 2015, on, I found purpose. And my purpose was when I got burnout. I think from that job, I kept trying to leave nightlife. It's really hard to do in terms of money and, like status and what And then I was diagnosed with the bipolar. So I would say the biggest interruption I had was the bipolar disorder. Like I realized like all the drugs I was taking, the relationships I was in, were bad for me. But then I didn't do anything. I stayed in it. You know what I mean? Like it was like, okay, so now just take pills for this, whatever this is. And eventually learned to like extreme burnout and a psychotic breakdown. Like I literally just had a massive breakdown. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want to do. Do I want to be alive? And then right before COVID, I ended up moving to Asia and did a little Eat, Pray, Love. And then was stuck out there when COVID hit in Thailand. And I was actually going to yoga retreats, kind of just trying to find myself. And I discovered breathwork. And breathwork was something that really began to help me heal wounds, like with my mom and deeper seated stuff. And then COVID happened. I'm stuck in Thailand by myself. So I started doing the breathwork to help me kind of with my anxiety and everything. And then just started setting up these like Zooms with friends and family. And then I landed in LA in 2020. It took 4 planes to get back from Asia.
Well, welcome.
And was able to start the business. But yeah, my passion has always been writing. So I've always been a storyteller. I'm a very chatty person. I've always been so nosy in the way of like, what's your deal? That's why a podcast just feels right for me to be like, what's your story? So my purpose is a book. I've created a podcast, essentially just a platform for people to come and tell their story because so many people experience their own interruption, whether it's burnout, pivot, grief, addiction, they're going through something. And exactly what you guys are doing over there is allowing people to tell their stories, to be seen, to be heard. And so, yeah, that's my purpose. It's kind of all encompassing. I just recently had this conversation. I'm going to write that juicy tell-all.
Do it.
I'm going to write it, probably not under my name, but I think I'm going to write that.
Under a ghostwriter? Not a ghostwriter.
Anonymous. Like the stories I have. And wait, were you growing up in LA during kind of the scene as well?
Yes.
Okay.
But with the younger generation of actors.
Yeah.
So I have stories.
Oh, yeah.
But
I know. Thank you so much for being here today. I really, really appreciate it. This was such a great talk.
Yeah,
and again,
thank
just
you.
Your vulnerability, how that shines through. I can see why you guys are very, very successful at what you're doing, helping people heal and like opening up to more of the community and everything. So thank you for doing what you do. And if anybody wants to find you or your work, where can we do that?
Yeah, you can find us at Rainbow Hill Recovery and Rainbow Hill Foundation and Rainbow Hill.
Yeah.
And then if you'd like to support the foundation,
Mhm.
also Rainbow Hill Music Official.
Cool.
So,
What's
yeah.
Music Official?
Girl, you
Okay.
missed out. I'll have to send it to you after
Yes.
this. I created a band, so to
Mm.
speak, under our name, Rainbow Hill.
Mm.
And all of the songs, all of the tracks, all of the albums,
Mm.
points in time of Andrew, my story. And then most recently, I dropped an album called Pink Palm Motel. And it's pre-Andrew era, but it talks about a lot in terms of like my past, my history, and how dark times got. And then, all the streams and downloads directly benefit the foundation,
Oh, okay.
which is really amazing.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've been working on for a while.
Yeah.
So
I'm
super excited.
I think you need to write a book down the
I
road
will.
as
I don't
well.
have time.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
Plug your
thank you.
socials. Thank you for listening to Party Girl Interrupted. If this episode resonated with you, go ahead, follow, subscribe, maybe share it with someone who needs it. Thank you for listening to Party Girl Interrupted. I'll see you next week.